Hello, friends! Bouncing into our happy room. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, hello, Connie. Hello, Jay is here. Yay! Jay made it. Awesome. Um, howdy, everybody. As I hope you know, I am Joel. Welcome back to your pre-embarkation supporting author spotlight. We are so excited to have with us a trio of amazing, talented folks for a little chat to help you get to know them and their writing. This is to give you a chance to get to become familiar with their work, their faces, so you are even more excited to add them to your TBR pile and to chat with them straight away on the cruise. So don't be shy. Um, I also want to say howdy to our den mother joyfully Jay, who is in the audience. But now let's say howdy to our amazing group of supporting authors. Xaneria Ann, also writing as Desmond Dane. Hi, Xaneria. Xanthe
Hello.
Walter. And Mary Elizabeth Summer. Howdy, howdy, howdy. All right. So, Xaneria, you have been a part of our tribe from the very beginning. The first year you were with us as a reader, last year as a supporting author. So, what advice do you have for both new readers and new authors about how to get the most out of their experience?
Don't be afraid to walk up and say hi to people. Just literally just say hi. I think that's the biggest thing. I made a mistake with my first year was not talking to anybody, and that was a huge mistake.
Agreed. Agreed. And you're very fun to talk to. So it is everybody's win when you have the bravery to do so. Mary Elizabeth, you were with us as a
Mhm.
reader last year. We are very excited you're now here as an author. What are you looking forward to from that new perspective?
I am really looking forward to talking to more people, as Xaneria said. I talked to a bunch of people when I went as a reader, but with that new author perspective, it'll be fun to have that sort of other layer, that other element to it. So I'm looking forward to talking shop with people this year.
And Xanthe, you are a total newbie.
Yes.
So, is there anything you are nervous about that the three of us can help make you feel better about?
Um, I am a little bit nervous about all of it just because I really don't know what to expect at all. But I actually saw it on Casey Morales' newsletter, and
Hmm.
everything I read about it just sounded so much fun. Everyone was so enthusiastic and loving it so much. I just thought it'd be a really nice holiday to have with lots of other people. And I really want to meet some other MM romance authors and all the lovely readers. So I'm nervous and excited, but I don't know what to expect.
You will be rapidly adopted, I promise. And we're really thrilled that you're with us. So don't be nervous. The minute anyone sees your name tag, they will gather around you like a flock of mother hens and daddy hens.
Good.
Daddy hens? What?
Daddy hen.
Daddy,
No, don't
dad.
say it.
Yeah, let's not. I mean, yeah. Okay, so for the three of you, who were each of your biggest influences getting into writing queer fiction? Xaneria, let's start with you.
Of course, you would start with me. Uh, Charlie Cochet and Victoria Sue would be two of my top ones.
And now you're hanging out with them. Now you're in their ranks. That's pretty exciting.
I know somebody pinched me.
Oh, bless. I know Victoria will be thrilled about that. And so will Charlie. That's really cool. Xanthe, how about you?
I'm a bit weird because I didn't come to it from an MM romance novel viewpoint. I came to it via fan fiction,
A
and that
lot of
was
people did.
30 years ago, so there weren't really many romance novels out there to read. There was only kind of literary novels with some gay characters in them. And it was only when self-publishing took off that we started to get romance. And I'd been writing it for years as fan fiction, but you couldn't get it published. I tried.
Yeah.
And then there were sort of niche little publishers came in. And then finally it just took off. So I didn't really come in that way. I just came in writing my fan fiction. I didn't have any authors that I knew at that point. I
Yeah.
know now, but I didn't then when I started.
How about you, Mary Elizabeth?
I also was in the fan fiction realm for a lot of years before I started more writing my own personal original stories. But I started writing sapphic YA like 12 years ago. So was again before that big,
Hmm.
um, there was more available, but now I have a ton of authors that I read, a lot of them that will be on the cruise. So I'm super excited to see everyone again.
Oh, yay. Um, all right. So, I went in a crummy order of that first question because now I'm back at you, Mary Elizabeth. Um,
Okay.
so, something that you and I share is that we're very passionate about YA and reaching and inspiring those audiences. And one of our favorite people in the world, who is also with us, Anna Martin J.L. Simmons, also writes Sapphic YA. So you're going to have a lot to talk about.
Yay.
What do you particularly enjoy about working in that sphere? And what do you think the biggest challenge is jumping between, say, an adult fiction brain and a YA brain?
I really like writing for YA audiences because there's anything is possible, really. And I think the same is true. It's starting to be more true for adult fiction as well. But back in the day when I was writing, I really wanted to be able to explore whatever I wanted. Like my books are about con artists, and and the idea of a teenage con artist was such an interesting one to me, so I didn't hadn't really seen that before. I also really wanted to write books that I wish I had had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of why I started in the young adult sphere. The difference really is about perspective. You are speaking from the perspective of someone who is younger, maybe who hasn't had as much life experience. Um, and their concerns might be a little bit different. They might be more concerned about their peers or, their future or what's coming up, the things that they're starting to experience for the first time around them. For adults, it's more, you're still coming of age as an adult. I would say
Yeah.
that, people always say, well, you're just coming of age as a young adult, and that's what that's about. And it's like, well, yes, but we're always coming of age in some way, shape, or form, even as adults. So it's not so much about that. It's more about like what experience do you have to draw on, and what layers of complexity can you add to adult
Yeah.
based on that. So it's not that the content is specifically different. It's more just, you know, Xaneria, I love your dog.
I'm so sorry.
I love it. I
Yeah.
have mine here too.
No, that
Yeah.
makes a whole lot of sense. And I'm so glad that you put those stories out into the world. I'm really excited that you're with us to share them. Um, Xanthe,
Mm.
Crocodile Tears combines three things that I love: London, dystopian, and mystery. Um,
Excellent.
can you talk about how the idea for the series came to you and what big inspirations led you to create that world that your characters inhabit?
Yeah, I actually started it in 2013 and finished it in 2024. So it took a very long time. It's very, if you've read it or anyone who has read it, it's quite complicated. There's two different timelines, and at some point they have to meet. And I had no idea all the way through that whether that was going to happen or not. So I was quite pleased when it did, because I was a bit like, well, how am I going to make that work? But it did happen. It all came out right. But I've lived in London all my life. I was born in London, and I love London. I now spend half of my life in Somerset and half of my life in London because I can't quite bear ever to leave London completely.
Hmm.
And so that was a big inspiration. I think. I honestly can't tell you where the dystopian London being underwater came from. It just sort of came into my head. It just was there, which is often the case with me. It just sort of appears.
I mean, it does rain a lot. It's kind of natural.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking it was probably during some particularly wet, flooded time, and I was thinking, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, and yeah, what was the other part of your question? Sorry, I've completely forgotten.
No, what sort of general inspirations, like kind of like maybe like pop culture or whatever, that maybe helped influence like how you would see a dystopian world, sort of kind of.
No, I don't think pop culture did. Oh, this is going to sound awful, but I'm a bit old. I'm 60. And so I'm not sure I was very involved in pop culture. Obviously I was, 11 years younger then or whenever when I
Yeah.
started. Um, but no, I had this, it's really weird starting point, but I had this idea of somebody who um was protecting something, a secret that they
Hmm.
wouldn't tell anyone, even under extreme duress. It was so important a secret that they
I
wouldn't
think
tell
I think
anyone.
I'm gonna ask you more about your lead character in a minute, but
Okay,
so
cool.
so so let's put a pin
That
in
was my
that one.
starting point.
But
Yeah,
that's
cool.
amazing, yeah, that they couldn't. Okay, really cool. Xaneria, I know that you're um passionate about polyam stories and polyam rep. Um, what were stories or authors that inspired you with that kind of narrative? Or were you completely frustrated you couldn't find anything like what you wanted to read, and that's what drove you to put it into the world?
Yeah, that second half, it mostly was actually stories from people that I got to know in polyamorous circles and
Mm-hmm.
about how they viewed love and relationships with people because a lot of times you meet them and they don't really particularly care. Like, I don't care what your gender is, I don't care what your hobbies are. I just, if I love you, I love you. And if I want you in my life, I want you in my life. And I think that is extremely important stories to tell. So that is actually what inspired me to write more. And I just kind of got stuck in the triad part because I love triads. So yeah, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough. And when it was always labeled as why choose. And why choose always feels like it's, oh, I'm just being stubborn and I don't want to choose. And not that, oh, I love these people just because.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, no, and like I think it's so cool that you kind of have found a way to craft what you were missing, or what we were missing. So I think that's really, really, um, admirable and exciting.
Thank you.
Uh, Mary Elizabeth, have you ever had an idea, like a plot bunny that came to you from, let's say, from an adult perspective, and you had to figure out how to make the plot bunny morph into a YA shape?
Yes, I mean, I definitely think my con artist series falls into that. I was watching a lot of Leverage and White Collar at the time that I had the idea, and so I was like, how would she even go about being a con artist and A, be sympathetic, and B, you know, in an adult world, how would she actually be able to use those skills? So that was a really fun thing to try and figure out. So I took, your typical 10 cons, the Spanish prisoner, um, the uh, the Pig and a Poke, all of those ones, and I had to, and the Wire Game, and tried to like make it into what a teenager would need it for. So there's a lot of like convincing cheerleaders to go to dances with geeks and like, and she gets paid for it, that kind of thing. So I really had a lot of fun transitioning an adult world
Yeah,
on into something that a teenager would need. That was a lot of fun.
that is a much better answer than I was worried would happen, which was just no. I was literally worried that was just gonna be like no, and I'd be like, great, next. So well done, well done.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
Xanthe, something I think that a lot of independent authors can struggle with and underestimate the value of, the importance of, is a really good cover. And I think your covers are just stunning. If any of you haven't seen them, go look at them. They're really beautiful. Can you
Thank
talk about your process, who you
Yeah,
work with, what the
I absolutely
collaboration
can.
was like?
Yeah, because there was a whole story here. So when I first published my first novel in 2012, Ricochet, my best friend Penny designed the cover for me, and it was lovely, and I was very happy with it. And when I was writing Dark Water, I was talking to her about ideas and things I wanted on the cover. But sadly, Penny got cancer, and she passed
Oh,
away in 2023. And so when it came to it, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I don't know where to go to get my covers made. So I approached a company who were very well known, and I gave them the brief. And what I got back was scary. I was like, this is okay if I wanted it to look like my main character's 8 babies. It was like they were just super unattractive and scary looking. They were sort of like they were just very unattractive people on the cover, and they could make no sense of it. The colors and everything. And I went back and I gave feedback and we worked back and forth. And in the end, I just said, this is not going to work. This is not what I had in mind. And so I didn't know what to do. I hadn't published for 12 years because of spending so long writing. And my friend who made my covers was no longer with us. And these people, I thought, well, maybe they're all like that. And so I looked around, I'm a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors, and they recommended a company called Demonza. So I just got in touch with them and I was like, blah, 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 gave them the brief. Um, and I don't know what I expected, but when I got the cover for Crocodile Tears, I almost screamed. I was like, "Oh my God, this is brilliant! This is so good!" I was like,
yeah,
so, compared to the other one, which was really dark and gloomy and had these unattractive
yeah,
front cover, I was like, "Oh yes!" And I was so relieved. I did give them a quite a detailed brief, but it was fantastic. It was such a difference. I think it just goes to show what a difference there is when you
yeah.
collaborate with people who are in your wavelength. And funnily enough, I was at the self-publishing show a few weeks ago in London, and Demonza had a stand there, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't know. And they had an iPad where they cycled through some of their book covers. And I
And
went up
yours
to
was
them,
there.
I went up to her and I said, "Oh, you did my book covers." And they said, "Yes, they're on the iPad, or one of them's
Oh,
on."
yay, that's awesome.
And there,
No, they're
ages
really
trying to
beautiful.
see it while it cycled.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's a great story. Yeah, just don't settle and don't give up because it
yeah,
matters more than people realize.
yeah. I just
Um,
knew it wasn't right, and I
yeah,
had to go with what I felt was right. So
awesome. Um, Xaneria, can you talk with us a little bit about your experience as a transmasc individual writing in the romance space and what transmasc authors or stories that you've been exposed to have really inspired you.
Mm. A lot of trans people. I get a lot of my inspiration from people. I like to talk to people. You see me on social media a lot. I'm probably mouthy there, but I am there. Um, the thing for me specifically is that the more confident I get in my identity and the more open I am about my identity, the more you start to see that presented in the main characters in my stories. I am writing way more triads with at least one trans mask character and sometimes some trans femme characters in there. I feel like my confidence definitely is starting to show in my characters, starting to show in the confidence in the characters. And I spend a lot of time talking to other trans authors, a lot of time talking to other just trans readers and trans men, especially because I feel like our journey is a little unique. Um, so getting to know how they feel about things, hearing from them something that doesn't feel like it's an insult to me or it doesn't feel like it's a negative comment to me, and then them saying, well, this is why I perceive it that way, has really influenced the way that I approach treating my characters in my books. I think it's just it's a learning process since this is what, year 2, maybe year 3 of me
Yeah.
being out. So it's definitely a learning process.
Is there a trans author that you like consider like kind of a hero?
Uh, I would have to say that right now I am really obsessed with Gem Zero on uh, my threads. I like them as a personality far more than I can say about anybody else. Just the way that they express themselves and they bring all of their feelings to the forefront, and that it's reflected in their stories. There's also another writer who is coming off of writing for like a website where they would write
Hmm.
their stories on a website. Now they're starting to publish books, and I love the stories that they had there. I'm not 100% sure how he presents himself as far as like actual author goes, so I don't want to
Mm.
say like the name
Oh,
out loud. But if you find them on Threads, it's Writing Soul. I love the stories there.
Um, that's really cool, and I'm thrilled that you have kind of that we've been around to watch that blossoming, and you kind of, you know, gaining confidence year after year, and us being a sort of a little part of getting to witness and celebrate that. Mary Elizabeth, you have a degree in creative writing. What is something that you learned or were taught that you wish you could get in a time machine, stand up in the middle of a seminar and go, "No, don't listen to that. It's terrible advice."
Almost all advice is both terrible and absolutely necessary. It just depends on the moment. I think, you know, I think that actually just I my actual education around that was very structured. And I think it's partly the time in which I went to school for it. It was a while ago. I think they probably teach things differently now. But at the time, it was very much not taught to commercial fiction. It was very much about more literary fiction, and a
Mm,
lot of that was very. Not that there's anything wrong with literary fiction at all, but there just wasn't any. I took one picture book class, and that was it.
oh,
Everything else
interesting.
was yeah, everything else was literature based because that's all they had. And I
Hmm.
went to a small school, so that was partly it too. So I would say that we didn't, I would tell all of my fellow people in the class, read more, read more books of the kind that you want to write so that you get a feel for it. You get a feel for the conventions and how, and then you can spin off from the conventions from there, read more. And I would say and also write more, don't spend so much time focused on getting one short story right. Write a lot,
Yeah.
write fan fiction, write so it doesn't matter, because that's when you really start to experiment and do things. Like if I could teach a whole class on writing fan fiction just to get your voice down, I would totally do that.
Um, so all three of you, uh, this year we are doing a panel on the cruise. Um, on authors who have drawn strongly from their own personal experience in their books. So, and Xaneria, you need to come up with a second answer now. What is something personal or that you feel that is kind of the most you, big or small? Like it could be a little crazy character quirk or anything, like my character's obsessed with Diet Coke, whatever, that you've incorporated into one of your books. So, Xanthe, how about you?
My main character in Darkwater, Josiah, he has a love for dark chocolate with sweet fruit creams in them, passion fruit creams and lemon creams and raspberry creams. And that's me. I love them. They're my thing. And then he's got a little tin which he has two chocolates in. He allows himself two chocolates a day and he takes it around in his pocket. I don't do that, but I do allow myself a couple of squares of chocolate a day. And it becomes a kind of running thing in the book with in the books with the other main character, Alex, managing to secretly put the chocolates in when he's not
Yeah.
looking, so he doesn't know. He reaches for his tin. He's like, "Oh, I do have some after all. I didn't fill it, but there is some." And so yeah, that is what I would say is yeah. If you're reading that, that's
Love
me,
that.
chocolate.
That's so great. Mary Elizabeth, how about you?
Um, there are lots of little things that kind of observations that I've come across or whatever that I'll stick in, especially from the Connor's perspective. Julep is my main character, and the book is written in first person present tense. So you really get a lot of her thoughts. And she is very much the complete opposite of me. Like I cannot lie my way out of a paper bag at all. So we are very different. But I will say if there's one thing that's the same between us, it's our love for coffee. Coffee. She says at one point, I like my working class brew like as bitter as oven shavings or something, but I also like to have my froofy drinks really froofy. And I'm the same way. Like I'll have straight espresso with nothing in it every morning, just inject that right into my veins. But
So
then
you're
I will go and have like a, super froofy coffee drink if I go out with a friend. So
so you're first in line at Cafe El Bacchio on the cruise ship.
yeah.
You're
Yes.
they know your face. Awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Xaneria, how about you?
I would say, since I have to come up with a different answer, I would say dominant toppy betas definitely show up a lot.
Dominant toppy base. I
Sorry. Yeah,
I
best I got.
That's a good detail. It's a good detail. Um Xanthe, so your Dark Water series has a long connected narrative arc
Yeah,
that you said you were writing over quite a length of years.
yeah, I was.
How did you negotiate that? Are you, especially coming from fan fiction, are you said there were elements you didn't know. Were you a plotter at all? Did you know where you had to at least end up? Without spoilers, how much of it ended up completely different than you anticipated at the beginning? Like, how did you kind of figure out the finish line?
I'm such a discovery writer. I I write notes as I go along because I'm worried I might forget something important, but then I hardly ever refer to them. What I really do is I just keep everything in my head. It's as permanently in a fluid state that way. I don't like to lock it in. And then I go out for walks and I just nerdle a new bit and go A to B, C to D, and then I'll write that. I have a vague idea, but then other things come out and I'm like, oh no, that's better than what I thought. So then I go down that path. I really am a discovery writer, and I know something is it is so finely calibrated, Dark Water, because I had to make these timelines add up, and I had so many plot twists. But some of that just occurred to me. I just let it happen. I kind of had an idea, but even then, I I did think that the murderer could have been one of two people, and it took me a while to decide which one it was. So I didn't
At
entirely,
least you had options.
yeah, I didn't entirely know who it was at the beginning. Um, I had some ideas, but then some of them I had ideas that came out really, really late on. That was like, oh no, that's brilliant. And also, I seem to have done the setup for that, even though I didn't know it was going to happen. And I
Yeah.
love it when it happens.
Oh, fabulous. No, the walking, I have very recently started to incorporate working while walking, and I actually am finding it useful.
Yeah.
I It helps my ADD brain kind of. Um, Mary Elizabeth, talk to us about the premise of the Tell Me series and Julep and what readers really respond to about it and how her personality came to you.
Okay, I'll go backwards. I'll start backwards.
Backwards is good.
I'll say that her personality came to me just overnight. Like she just started, I woke up one morning and she was talking in my head, which that doesn't often happen for me. It's I'll come up with a premise first and then I'll think about characters, then I'll start asking a bunch of questions. But she was like so vociferous, like she just would not go away. So then I started asking her questions. I never meant to write mystery. I was going to be fantasy, science fiction all the way. And she just started talking to me, and I was like, well, I guess I'd better write it down. So yeah, that's how Julep and her name came to me at the same time. It was like instantaneous. That is another thing that I will go back and forth on names forever, before I'll settle on one name for a character. But for her, it was just she just exists. I'm confident that she's real in the universe somewhere.
Ha!
Uh, so the premise is that Julep Dupree is our teenage con artist. She goes to St. Agatha's private school so that she can learn how to be with the haves, even though she herself is a have-not, so that she can kind of get a feel for how she can grift them better as she grows up. Her father's also a con artist, and training her in the con artist ways. So she comes home from school one day and her apartment is completely ransacked and her father is missing. And so she has to use all of her tricks, all of the grifts in the book to find him before his mark finds her. So it's very much a mystery, like what happened. And about halfway through, a piece of information is revealed that turns the entire story into a different story. Like it's completely turns it on its head. Um, which, like Xanthe was saying, like I had no idea that was going to happen. It just, I don't even remember when it came to me, but I was probably walking or in the shower or something, and I was like, oh, okay. I know what this story is about now. So yeah, it was really fun. It was a lot of fun to try and figure out how to write a mystery while I was doing it. And yeah, I it was a fun thing. And then it's now spiraled into 5 books. I think there's gonna be 2 more books before the end. So
With a
yeah,
romantic element to it, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So I will clarify that she is bi character.
Mm-hmm.
So the first book, she has a boy love interest, and then the rest of the books, the girl love interest. Sorry, slight spoiler there. But I promise it's still worth reading.
And buy rep is important, and
Yes.
that's really cool. Um, Xaneria, as somebody who is polyam and bi, do you find that incorporating a femme character into polyqueer stories makes it more challenging to sell to a romance audience? And how do you navigate that and stay true to what you want to write rather than turning a character into something you don't really want, but thinking about whether or not our readership will reject or accept it or embrace
Uh,
it? Not
I think my very first book was by representation. I had a bi main character who second chance with his female uh, high school sweetheart, and one of the things that I got told often was you can't sell this as a queer romance because they're in a straight presenting relationship.
mm-hmm.
And that is unfortunately something that is still said quite often on social media. You see a lot of readers and a lot of other authors say the same thing over and over again. So for me, I feel like it's one of those things I'm just going to have to ignore and I'm just going to have to push through because I'm not going to remove an entire segment of people from my stories just to sell my books. It's not going to happen. So I just market my books as queer and leave it for the readers to figure out who's going to be sleeping with who when.
In a When you connect the characters in a poly relationship, does that help rather than a pairing? Does that make any sense as a question?
It does. It does. It doesn't actually help from the perspective of anybody that's not going to read a book just because the characters are in any form
Yeah,
of straight
isn't
presenting
isn't gonna.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to make a difference, but for me, it at least makes a difference in the fact that I get to explore 2 sides of myself
Mm-hmm.
while I'm writing. So the people who are like me and the people who enjoy polyamorous romances will find a place in my stories. And if you don't, that's okay. There are other authors out there.
Yeah. Um, and you know, good for you for staying true to yourself and writing for the audience that you know needs your stories. That's
Thank you.
important. Um, Xanthe, like Rich and I, you are a big musical theater fan.
I am.
So, if one of your books could be adapted into a musical, which one would you choose and who would write the score and why?
God. Well, ooh, it's difficult to beat Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice just because they're great. But
I approve.
also Elton John.
We can make them talk to each other again.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they haven't done anything together for a long time. Having said that, I just saw ABBA. I just saw Chess in and I went to New York a few months
Yeah.
ago and saw that with Leah Michelle. Oh my God, it was
Mm,
and so oh, sorry. Um Yeah, and so that was terrific. And so I could see, the ABBA boys maybe could do something for me, but I do like the idea of Tim Rice doing the lyrics. Which one? I don't know. I mean, Ricochet is great fun. It's set in a world where BDSM is the norm and everyone is dom or sub, but it's a rom-com. I call it my dom-com. And so it's
I
very,
mean, whips are very rhythmic.
yeah,
Like
and I
like
think,
so are
yeah,
paddles. They
it,
work well to music.
it's quite a romp, and I think it would be great fun on stage. I don't know, Darkwater, I think might be quite people would be a bit like, oh my God. But Ricochet, I think it would be really good fun on stage.
Excellent. Um if Android Rubber made trains work, come on. Um
True.
um uh One of my favorite lines from a movie of all time, if any of you have never seen it, there's a movie called The Tall Guy that is like, no one knows about it. It stars Jeff Goldblum and Emma Thompson, and
Oh yeah, I know it.
Jeff Goldblum is an American actor in Britain, and he basically ends up with an audition for a musical about the Elephant Man, and he's telling his agent he thinks he doesn't want to go, and it's a terrible idea, and he's and his agent goes, "Darling, everyone said Jesus Christ Superstar was a stupid idea," and Jeff Goldblum goes, "Jesus Christ Superstar was a stupid idea." um. Anyway, so uh, Xaneria, what is the hardest set of poly characters you've ever had to weave together into a relationship? I'm assuming you don't start with the complete plot bunny for every character at the outset. So what do you start with, one core character and then craft the missing puzzle pieces? Like, what's been the trickiest one to get to fit?
The trickiest one to get to fit was actually the one in our anthology, Destination Triangle. I struggled with that one quite a bit and ended up handing it to people a little late because I just wasn't sure I was satisfied with the story and the characters. But I actually do start with the whole polycule already planned out before I do anything else, before I plot anything else. So I knew what the characters were and what I wanted them to look like and what I wanted them to interact with each other like. What I couldn't figure out was if I was doing something wrong with my trans female character because Champagne had a very specific personality. And I had to go and find people to talk to because not only is she a trans female, and I am obviously not, so that's a perspective I don't have a lot of
Mhm.
say in, but also she is a black character. So I had to go and
Right.
talk to very specific set of people and ask them, what do you think? Ultimately, it was another friend of mine, author Simone Holiday, who told me that Champagne was fantastic, that she loved the character, she thought the character had a great personality, and that she didn't see anything massively wrong. And then another trans female author I asked to step in and just give me a few pieces of advice, and I got the go ahead, the green light, and so I rolled with it.
Oh, awesome. That's, it's I I think it is so amazing when people, it's actually something I'm going to talk about a little bit on the writers retreat that we're doing before the readers arrive. But I think it is so amazing when, big or small, and this obviously is big, but big or small, when there is something outside of your definite realm of expertise, making sure someone reads it, that you're getting it right, is so valuable. And when the people that know if it's right or wrong read it and it's right, it matters so much to them. And it is so distracting when it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's like it goes both ways. Like, you win so many points and such appreciation when you get it right. So I think that's super cool. Um, Mary Elizabeth, talk to us about writing a a queer bi heroine in the YA sphere, and what you wish we had more of in terms of queer rep in young adult fiction, um, other than young people who commit crime, which is a great choice to get on the reading list in schools. But like what did you feel was missing? What do you want more of? What are the challenges?
I think we still just need more of it, just more of it. We don't have nearly enough in the young adult world. I think people shy away from um, doing more commercial type stories for young adults and even to some extent like older middle grade. We just kind of shy away from having queer representation in that age group because there's so much of it in new adult and adult
Mm-hmm.
um, because people are like, well, the sky's the limit in that. But especially in like the trad pub world, which I come from originally, and it just, I mean, I didn't have enough confidence to even present Julep as a sapphic story, the first book, to
Interesting.
my editor. I actually snuck it in. I didn't tell her with the second book I was going to do that.
Oh my
And so I was
gosh.
like, I know, we'll just kind of see if she will roll with it. And, bless her, she did, because this was back in the day before it was, even as accepted as it is now. So I would just say more. We need more, and specifically more stories where there is a gay romance subplot, but that's not the whole aspect of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about coming out, or it's not about the gay experience from a young person's perspective. It's just about a mystery or whatever, and there happens to be a romantic
Yeah.
subplot. I would really love to see more of that in there. I mean, it is happening. It is coming out more now, but I feel like the explosion that we have in adults, we're not experiencing it to that
Mm-hmm.
level in young adult yet. So, and of course, as I was growing up, I never had any of that. So,
Yeah.
and I would have loved to have some. So yeah, we just need more.
Amen. Um, Xanthe, I am also a big fan, like you, of Tudor history. Um, in fact, I actually wrote an entire musical about Lady Jane Grey at one point
Awesome.
and pitched it to Cameron Mackintosh. Since you have not seen my name on the marquee outside the London Palladium, you know how that turned
Go
out.
for it. He didn't go for
But
it, did
but he did
he?
not. But have you or why have you not combined your love of that period with queer romance? And when are you going to so I can narrate it?
That'd be awesome. I love that idea. I don't know. I've never really felt a need to write Tudor. I don't know. I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I think I'd be slightly daunted about getting all the factual details right of that period of history, even though I read it. Also, my love of it is
That's what
weird.
Alison Weir is for.
I love
Just
Alison Weir. She's my favorite
get her right.
non-fiction
Exactly.
Elizabethan writer
Yeah, she's
or
brilliant. She's brilliant.
writer. But here's
She's
the thing,
done all the work for you.
I
Just
don't
add some
like.
penises in.
I don't like her fiction books. I only like her non-fiction. And I love non-fiction about Tudor history. And I think I've almost put it in a box that's like Tudor history is non-fiction, and so I hadn't thought of doing it as fiction.
Yeah.
Maybe there
Beef
is a
eaters. Gay
great,
beef eaters. I need gay beef eaters.
yeah, that would be great. I'm with
And
you on
one of them is a raven shifter. I've given it to you. Go
that.
write it. It's
Awesome. I love
yours.
it.
It's
Brilliant.
yours.
Love it.
It's yours.
I'll have to do it.
I will narrate the crap out of it. I promise you. Um, uh, Xaneria, in Chances Are Us, you have a couple connect through a whirlwind cruise romance. So talk to us about any inspiration you may have taken from our adventures together and how they maybe wove their way into the story.
Uh, there is thanks to Sambolinos, she did my editing for that one. There is a new chapter that dives into their pudding wrestling relationship that was born on the cruise. Um, because who doesn't like putting wrestling? But the big thing for me was kind of the solace of being on the ship deck in a storm.
Interesting.
I went up there one time. I may have almost died. Uh, the wind was really, really a lot more than I expected it to be, and I kind of
Oh, it is windy. I mean, yeah, it
yeah.
is windy at
Yeah.
night.
It gets really windy when the storm is going and the waves are crashing. And I took my camera up there and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go take pictures. And the wind kind of caught me and kind of dragged me, and I I may have panicked a little. So Shauna got that experience because that's where Rungi got to come in and save her and kind of keep her from going overboard. And that is where that
I,
came from.
I would like to assure everyone
You're not actually gonna go overboard now.
Xanthe's eyes are now like this.
Right.
You are not. No one is going overboard. It is.
Perfectly safe.
I
It just
promise
feels
you,
like
the
it.
stabilizers. It's when you, if you, the thing is, if you go up on the deck, right, and you think about the fact that you are traveling forward in the wind, it is windy. It is,
Yeah.
but down, down in the pleasant, on the inside, it is delightful and calm. But
Yes.
so all right. So no one needs to be traumatized. But Xaneria, you were supposed to say something lovely like, I don't know, they meet at a martini bar. What the fuck? Come on. We're editing it out, and you're never again on a Zoom as long as I fucking live. Jesus.
Sorry.
Why did
You asked for an experience.
why did your cruise attendees go down 40% for 20? Oh, it was this thing Xaneria said.
Wait.
All right.
I just
Anyway,
point out I'm here for this is my third year. I obviously survived that first year, so nothing actually happened. It just
yeah.
scared me because I scared myself.
Wait till I throw him overboard as soon as I see him. All right. So, Mary Elizabeth, moving on. How do you feel? This is another borderline ridiculous question. How do you feel that your other career as an instructional designer plays into the way you work and your strengths as a writer, or vice versa? Or maybe that's the worst question anyone ever asked.
It's not the worst question. In fact, you're not even the first person to ask it. I get this question with some regularity. So
Okay,
for
good,
those who
good.
don't for those who don't know, an instructional designer is a person who creates courses for companies. So training, job aids, all of that stuff that you really loathe having to take when you're in your corporate hat on. That's my job. So I would say that it does both sides influence the other, absolutely. From an instructional standpoint, instructional design standpoint, when I'm writing, it helps me organize my thoughts, like so that things happen in more chronological way, and something that is more clear and easy to understand from an audience perspective, which isn't to say that like there isn't time jumps or things like that, but I just have a little bit more of an organizational idea of how I want to
Interesting.
share this story. And it also helps from a research perspective too, and frankly from a bullshit perspective. If I'm being completely honest.
Love that.
If I don't know something, like I'm writing historical fantasy right now, and if I don't know something, I will fully bullshit it. And I definitely get that skill from instructional design. For the other direction, I would say that I really try when I'm building a course to come up with like scenarios or situations that that the learner will relate to, so that they can take whatever it is I'm teaching them and apply it to their job or whatever it is that I'm teaching them. Coming up with those scenarios is all about character. It's all about coming up with a character
Oh
and
yeah.
helping them work through a problem. So really, it's very similar in that way to writing a story. So
That's kind of
yeah,
wild. That's interesting.
yeah.
Xanthe, in Ricochet, you've got a BDSM romance between two guys starring in a TV crime show together.
Yes.
When you are based in London and Somerset, how did you believably go about writing about Hollywood and LA and the ins and outs of filming a TV series. And if you manage to do that, why can't you do it for Tudor history? Moving
Ah,
on.
yeah, and
No,
I'm
but
thinking about the Ravens, and
how
I'm
did
thinking there's a time jump and
how
Beefeater.
did you
I'm
how
on
did how did you write LA and how did you write
all of those
TV?
misspent years doing fan fiction. Like I was immersed in fan fiction world. This meant I was part of the community and I followed the actors, and there was a whole bunch of us, and I say followed them online. I mean, I didn't met any of them. I didn't stalk any of them.
Yes.
And so I just all those Entertainment Weekly, Entertainment Today, all that BuzzFeed or whatever they were called back in the day. I used to go and read all those articles. So I got a kind of fair working of all the silly magazine deals they used to get. They used to do magazine covers, and then there'd be a video clip of them doing the magazine covers. I think that still goes on today, actually. And so all of that I was really aware of, and it wasn't very hard to take what was essentially I was writing NCIS fan fiction at that time. So it was kind of my crime show. And except
Okay.
in the Ricochet universe, it's called collar crime because all the subs wear collars. So it was some sort of crime, some crime against them as being sort of part of this having a collar or being owned or whatever. It was like
Mhm.
you might collar someone against their will, or someone might take off their collar, and it was all a big drama. And so that was what the collar crime was the name of the TV series. And then these two actors who are starring in it, and one of them's a sub and one of them's a dom, but they're both playing subs. So there was a lot of fun tension around that.
Yeah.
And it was just great fun. But yeah, my inspiration just all those years in fan fiction, I was just really familiar with how fandom works in television and all the things that go on behind the scenes with
Yeah.
those shows. So that was it. That was just my imagination doing the rest.
Awesome.
Cool.
Um, Xaneria, one of our panels this year is about villains and sort of morally gray characters and stories that make us reevaluate our perception of them. In Odium, you've got an irresistible attraction to a morally gray character. Talk to us about that story and creating a character like that and why you like exploring darker romance. Oh, your
Your
sound
mic's
is
off.
gone. Your mic's off, or something happened. Oh no. Oh no. Did the dog eat it? I blame the dog.
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Rich, should I just jump to another question to my next question? Okay. So Zedaria, as soon as just you can test as we go and yeah,
I
okay.
think
So
we're good.
oh,
Oh,
amazing. We
perfect.
did it. All right. So what is so yeah. So talk to me about that.
I like exploring dark romance because I like making readers question: Am I supposed to like this? Am I supposed to sympathize with this character? Um, but creating a dark romance character, I think it's important to make sure that we don't forgive and excuse their bad deeds, their actions. So I made sure that with Jasper, yeah, you look at him and you say, "Oh, I understand why he feels that way and why he's doing the things that he's doing, but I don't approve." And I make sure that every time the opportunity comes, he does receive some kind of retribution or some kind of punishment for the actions he takes. Because I think
Mhm.
one of the biggest problems is when we write those characters and we try to make them so sympathetic or so relatable that we end up just glorifying who they are and forgiving who they are. And I don't want to do that with my characters. I want you to like them from a distance and watch them grow and learn, but also say, hey, you got what you got.
Um and and was that tricky with that particular character or did it sort of flow easily?
It was very tricky with Jasper, specifically because I felt a lot of like, I knew how he felt in certain situations where he's trying to not be run by his emotions. He's trying to just cut all his emotions off and try to exact his revenge and not be swallowed up by his feelings for Naden. And I understand that feeling a lot. And so for me, it was hard to not just give in and give him what he needed and what he wanted. And it was also really hard for me to sit there and watch him change Naden because I thought he was such a sweet character. So I struggled a lot with that. But I think the thing I struggled with the most was just all of the things around them that kept accumulating on down on top of them. It was really
Mm-hmm.
hard sometimes.
Rich, I've got one more round of a question for each and then giveaways. Is that okay time-wise for you? Okay. Um, so Mary Elizabeth, are you a fan of research? And have you ever done any wild or extreme things in the name of accuracy?
So I would say that I do like research. I also am an introvert, so sometimes I have a hard time finding experts and talking to them. I will go down very lengthy Google rabbit holes to try and find the information that I need before actually talking to people. And then when I do finally branch out and talk to people, I always get so much better information. So like I wrote a story with a teenage drag racer, and so I ended up having an entire conversation with an ex-drag racer, and he was super helpful, not just about the racing part, but also just about the mechanics of cars. And he turned me on to this meetup that they do here in Portland
You're
every
you're su-
Sunday.
you're supposed to be telling me about the con artist thing.
Okay, okay, yes, I also did.
Remember the question you told me to ask you?
I know. Okay. Yes, but that was an interesting part for the research. This part
Okay,
wasn't so
okay,
much
okay.
research as it was okay. Anyway, so I did once try to do a con, and it
I
did
love
actually
this. I
work.
love this. I think it's so impressive.
So if you want to learn how to con anything, what you have to do is talk to the frontline worker of that whatever it is. So I talked to a barista friend of mine and was like, "How do I con a free drink, a free coffee drink out of a coffee shop?" And she told me how to do it. So then I tried it, and it totally worked.
Oh,
And like I said, I cannot lie on it.
Xaneria's face is literally like, and the way you do that is.
Well, you have to read the book
All right.
because she
Well,
does
I'm
do it in
reading
the
the
book.
book.
I feel like if you wanted to sell that book, literally that's all you need to tell people
She does a lot
is
of really, yeah, really good, very
and you
realistic
got
cons.
and you got
Yeah.
away with it. That's
I did.
amazing.
I totally got away with it. Yes. Yeah. I don't
That's amazing.
recommend it. I try, when I talk to
Right.
schools and kids and stuff, I'm like, don't do like what I don't
Okay.
do if it's not supposed to be like, a role model or anything. But yeah, but it does work.
Um Xanthe, in Ricochet, you really upend the traditional kind of qualities we associate in the Dom sub dynamic, right?
yes.
Talk about how you enjoy talk about these two guys and how you enjoyed subverting those expectations because I think that's really cool.
I love doing that. I think I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I love the kind of cool stern Dom as much as anyone else. But I wanted to write the hot mess of a Dom who just kept screwing up and was just, he wasn't anyone's idea of what a Dom should be. And then Matt, on the other hand, the sub character, he can't submit, he can't give up control. So he's not what anyone's idea of a sub should be. He's a complete control freak. And so bringing those two together and seeing how could you possibly make this work? It was a romp. I mean, it was like I said, I call it my dom-com for a reason. It's not one of those really serious whips and chains kind of things. Having said that, there is some, pretty spicy stuff in there. Of BDSM
Oh
variety.
no. Now no one will want to read it.
But yeah, that was I'd come out of fan fiction where I've been writing NCIS for years,
Hmm.
and I don't know if anyone's ever watched that show. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to write fan fiction for it was because Gibbs was so toppy and Tony was so subby, and it was kind of almost actual sort of corporal punishment because Gibbs was always tapping him on the back of the head like this. I was like, you want to touch him, you want to spank him. and, and so and so coming out of that, we had this really toppy character who everyone was a bit scared of. And I just thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a Dom who's not like that? No one is scared of Rick. He is silly man. But he is good in bed when him and Matt get together, he can bring it. But most of the time he's just ridiculous.
I think it's really kind of cool to subvert those expectations.
That's what I
Right.
thought, and I
And
love
I have known some people that were very dominant in their kind of the way that they liked to be in bed, but you would never kind of glean that from their personalities. And it's really interesting.
that.
Like I think it's so interesting.
I
Uh
agree. I think that's not something that's explored very much because
no.
we love the trope of the people who are
Yeah.
cocky and subby, and dom and sub. But actually, I think that it's in real life,
It's
in
more
my
fluid
experience,
than people think.
much
Yeah.
more fluid than that. Yeah.
Um so Xaneria, in Daybreak Rising, one of your protagonists is a population geneticist, one is a gene therapist, and the other has a genetic mutation. I do not even know what half of those things mean. So how do you write something that kind of deals with such complex scientific concepts? Like I'm kind of thinking of like Project Hail Mary, like how he friggin' made that science not just mathematically make as much sense as it could, but also explained it in a way that made sense. How do you deal with that stuff and make it accessible to an audience?
I would like to point out I'm dumb,
Oh,
very
okay.
dumb.
Okay.
Um,
You're not as dumb as me, I
I
promise you. Ask Rich. It's
I
impossible.
I do a lot of reading though. I read a lot. So the first thing I do is I come up with the idea and then I say, okay, what is this attached to? And I go online and I say, oh, so if I was dealing with a mutation in people, who would study that? And then it gave me a list of people that would study it. And I sat there and I probably spent 2 hours reading what all these different jobs do and picked the two that I liked, and then I just started doing research and writing notes, and my notes are extensive. And then I go find somebody that knows a little something about something and say, hey, in theory, does this work? And if I get the okay, I go with it. And if I get the probably not, I'll go back and fix it because I want things to function. There's actually somebody, I do not ask me what her original degree is in. I do not remember something big and sciency, but she picked up my book and started reading it and just the actually like 2 nights ago said, oh, by the way, all this science is really on par. She goes, it is
Wow.
theoretically it could happen. And I may have cried a little. I was like, I'm excited by that. Um because I did not think it would hold up, but apparently it did.
Yeah.
So
Considering one of them is a cougar shifter, it's a little concerning for mankind, but hey, it's a cougar shifter, right? Or a leopard it's a cougar shifter.
snow leopard.
Snow
Snow
leopard
leopard.
shifter. I'm sorry. Snow leopards are awesome. All right. So now, Rich, are I did not ask you this in advance. Pre-order situation. I want to ask them what people should grab and what their most latest release is, real quick. What is the pre-order situation now? Can you unmute me or unmute?
Some people, I think everybody here's pre-orders are closed. Am I right with that? Or is an area you're still open?
Technically, mine are still open.
Okay,
Okay.
but we can ebook,
But
right? We can
but
ebook
there's
and
also ebooks and there's also purchasing them from the the
place that
large
sells
Amazon
books. Yes. All right.
place that
Amazing.
sells
Okay.
books.
So
They
so
if people are happy to sign things if you bring them.
So tell us about your latest thing, or what you feel people should use as their starting point if they want to get to know you as a writer. What's new, or what is your jumping off point for folks? Xanthe, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I've really only got two things that people might be interested in. One is Ricochet, which we talked about, which is my dom-com. That's a standalone BDSM novel. It's really quite long. I'm going to be bringing some copies on board the ship, so people will be able to get some there. I mean, I will run
Love
out.
that. Love that.
I will be bringing some for if people do want to buy them. And the other one is Dark Water, which starts with Crocodile Tears. I'll be bringing some of Crocodile Tears. I won't bring the rest because I think if you're just new, you're probably just going to want to
Yeah.
read the first one. and see if you get on with it. That's a completely different beast. That's a much darker book. It's really angsty. It's got broken boys. It's got dub-con and non-con and trauma recovery. It really puts you through it. It's like it's one of those things that will destroy you before it makes you feel better. So those are the two offerings I've got. It's up to you whether you fancy, going on the dark side or having a bit of a laugh with the BDSM universe.
Love it. Mary Elizabeth, how about you?
I just released the fifth book in the Trust Me series called Trust Me, I'm Trying. The first one is Trust Me, I'm Lying, though, so I would start there for sure. I also have that street racing book that I was talking about. It's called Rook, and that's available for free. It's novel length, free book that you just have to sign up for my newsletter, and then I'll send it to you, the ebook.
Is that is that
And
why is that YA adult sapphic? Where does that fall?
yeah, it's also YA, but it kind of has more of a new adult sort of leaning to it
Okay.
because there's not really parents involved. So it's a little bit right on the cusp. Very much older teenager.
Cool.
Julep is a little bit more like teen, young adult.
Awesome.
But yeah, and then yeah, so that's what I've got out now.
And Xaneria.
I would say it's going to be either Starvation of Quinn, which is a paranormal monster romance, or Chances Are Us. Both of those are exclusive to the cruise because they actually don't come out until after the cruise. But you guys can get them now. And while my pre-orders are open at this point in time, it's probably just going to be ebooks that you'll be able to get your hands on. But I will get you your physical copies. And
Amazing.
I would highly recommend Starvation of Quinn. It's getting ready to have an audiobook done as well. So
Fab. And I'm very excited for you to meet Sam Stark, Xaneria, who is our transmask narrator, who's one of my favorite people, and he's brilliant. And the two of you should definitely get to know each other because he's super cool. I want everybody to get to know him because he's brilliant. Okay, so do not miss, everybody, Rich's epic pre-cruise and conference orientation Zoom. In which he's in that room, I'm in this room, and we're just yelling at each other. But Rich is brilliant, and I'm just madcap and incompetent. But he covers so much awesome info that is in his gigantic brain, answers all your questions. It is beautifully presented. He goes through everything from what you can and can't pack to getting on the ship to getting off the ship to everything, the app, the signing, it's amazing. He will make you feel so confident if you haven't done it before. And if you have done it before, come along because it's always super fun and informative. He will send a registration for that event soon. Yes, Rich? Yes?
Yep.
Yep.
It is next Monday, and the email with the registration link will come out tomorrow.
Okay, so let's do giveaways real quick. Xanthe, you're going to give away codes to Crocodile Tears, which is your first book in your award-winning Dark Water series.
I've got audio codes.
So, Rich, who is going to win the audio codes of that?
Let's see. Susan Buttons.
Susan Buttons. Hi, Susan. Yay. Xaneria is giving away a bundle of your two things, contemporary romance books and some a fun like bundle of swag. So that's going to.
Well, I just landed on Connie, but I feel like Connie said she already had it. Connie, do you already have those?
Connie bought everything.
In which case, we'll do Connie for the next one, and we'll do another one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think Connie said she had them, so I'm gonna go with let's draw another person. Da, 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 da. My finger's not working for this. There we go. Okay, next I have Diane Nordstrom. Diana Nordstrom.
Now a collection of his paranormal romance ebooks from Xaneria, also with a swag bag.
Is that Connie then? Connie, do you have those? Connie!
Yay! And now Mary Elizabeth is giving away a signed paperback in the first book in her slash Sapphic YA series, Trust Me, I'm Lying, which she's going to bring on board for the winner. And that goes to
MJ Jean.
Hey.
Hey.
Yay! Thank you for the awesome giveaways. Thank you for our amazing audience being here and supporting these brilliant authors. This was so fun. Like, I know you've now got tons of things to talk to them about, especially while Mary Elizabeth is holding up the line at the coffee shop. And
Yes.
for those of you who are watching the recording of this and you'd like to know more about joining us on the Rainbow Readers Cruise adventure, go take a look at www.rainbowreaderscruise.com. You can also reach out to Rich at richnagic, rich at rich
richnagic at
gmail.com.
but there's a contact form on the website also.
Jesus. This is why I cannot ever deviate from a script, ever, because I get it wrong and I get yelled at, justifiably. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Jay for being here, Xanthe, Walter, Mary Elizabeth Summer, and Xaneria Ann for being a part of our tribe and joining us for this amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Have a good night. We will see you on board soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.